Silicon Valley Bhakti Sastri course, even though it's conducted by ISKCON of Silicon Valley Authority under the guidance of His Grace Vaisheshika Prabhu and leadership of His Grace Srivas Pandit Prabhu. But many devotees from different parts of the world, they join this course. So we're thankful to all of you who joined today. And I apologize for being late in today's class. We had some logistic issues. So thank you for your patience. We'll start very shortly. Actually, we're going to start as soon as Mataji projects our screen in the projector. Before that, we can do Mangalacharan prayer together, right? I think that's something we can do together. Om Ajnanatimmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishthang Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuttapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavangsha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathannitam Tam Sajevam Sadhaitang Savadotang Parijana Sahitang Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhannitam Sha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanto Radha Kanto Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurange Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Namayang Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Sarasate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pasyat Desha Tarine Vancha Kalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhavyaye Vacha Patitanang Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namo Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukhaṁ karoti vācālaṁ pangum langayate girim Yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishvaram. So, Sripad Sankaracharya in Gita Mahatya, he wrote actually 8 verses. One of the verses he mentioned, Maline Mochanam Snanam Jalas Snanam Dine Dine Swakrit Gitamrito Snanam Samsara Malanashanam. So when we are dirty, we take bath, we become clean, right? That's the process. The process of cleanliness. What is happening? That it gets cleaned. Similarly, if you actually drink the nectar of Srimad Bhagavat Gita, the Samsara Mal, the dirtiness of this material world will be eradicated, will go away. So that's our goal. This knowledge is not some mundane knowledge which can give us some money or material benefit. Yeah, there is a part of it. If you follow it strictly, you get material benefit as a byproduct. But the ultimate goal is to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead and get rid of this material entanglement, which is also the topics of this chapter. Karma Yoga, action in Krishna consciousness. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. So we'll read each verse and also the translation, and we'll do some discussion. The best thing which happened today is that this is relatively a short chapter. So I hope that we can complete before the Sunday class starts. So let's chant, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, then we can start. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, text 1. Arjuna uvacha sannyasam karmanam Krishna punar yogam cha sangsasi yat shreya etayar ekam tanme bruhi sunishchitam. Prabhu, you want to start? Translation? It's not working, the mic is not activated. Can you try the yellow one? Please try the yellow one then. Okay. It's not, I think it's not activated from there. Volume. Anyways. Okay, let me read then. Arjuna said, O Krishna, first of all you ask me to renounce work, and then again you recommend work with devotion. Now will you kindly tell me definitely which of the two is more beneficial? Can anybody recall what was the last verse or last conversation between Lord Krishna and Arjuna before this chapter? Anything? So after describing the Jnana Yoga, Krishna said, Arjuna, you now know the aspect of transcendental knowledge. Now after knowing it, please fight. Right? Tasmad yuddhasya bharata. I think that is the last part. So Arjuna got bewildered that, I know now that cultivation of knowledge is the goal of life. But then why I have to also perform activities? What is the reason? Why Krishna is telling this kind of equivocal, confusing instructions to me, giving confusing instructions? So he got bewildered, and it is a valid bewilderment. You have so many options. You have so many ways to actually execute devotional service also, or execute spiritual practice. Then how you will understand that what is the correct way, right? So it is a common, I will say that confusion among the living entities, especially those who are intelligent. The intelligent people, they are mostly confused unless they are guided by very powerful personalities. And Arjuna is a very intelligent person, but he is here guided by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That's why all of his confusions are dispelled by him. So he is asking this question, that what is actually beneficial? That work in devotion or renounce work? Because the aspect of knowledge is, when you attain that spiritual knowledge, you know that there is no connection with this material world. You don't have any connection. It's a temporary situation. Like when you go to college, we have a relationship with the college. We have an ID card. We are identified with that ID card. But as soon as we are done with the course, now you don't belong here. We need permission, a special permission to enter into the the college arena, at least in our countries. Here maybe it's not that strict. But that is the situation. So here also we have a contract. As long we are burning our karmas in this body, we'll be here. As soon as that relationship or that thing is done, we'll go to the another body. So it's a temporary situation. It's not like nothing permanent. So Arjuna is telling that you are giving me that knowledge, but then you are telling me to again fight. Then how do I understand what is better? Fight or just renounce everything? Now Krishna is actually answering that question, and this answer is so relevant to every devotees. And this chapter is actually a gem of a chapter. It's a practical chapter for all the devotees. So we read. Now the mic is working. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Sannyasah karma yogascha Nishriyasya karau uvau Tayostu karma sannyasa Karma yogo vishishvate. Satat Prabhu, you are trying.
Hare Krishna. Translation: The personality of God had replied, the renunciation of work and work in devotion are both good for liberation. But of the two, work in devotional service is better than renunciation of work.
Thank you. Now, actually, Lord Krishna, at the 18th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, he summarized all the instructions he has given and he identified the key points, especially the later half. So, in the beginning of 18th chapter, he defines what is sannyas and what is nishkama karma, tyaga, that you are not attached, you are detached. So, he nicely says that kamyanam I forgot the actual verse. Kamasya karmanya nasam sannyaso kavayo budu sarva karma falotyago prahustyago vichakshanaha. There it says that if you are not doing activities of sense enjoyment, it doesn't mean that your activity cannot produce sense enjoyment. It can produce sense enjoyment because it's not that sannyasis, apparently they don't have any enjoyment. They also enjoy. But their mode of doing an act is not for their sense enjoyment, self-sense enjoyment. That is called sannyas. Very nicely, he did not say, oh, sannyas means like you take a saffron robe. Yeah, that is an official designation. Because officially, you say that, oh, I am a sannyasi, I'm supposed to follow this doctrine, this, the philosophy of sannyas. That is an official thing. But Krishna is telling what is the disposition of a sannyasi. He may not be outwardly a sannyasi, but inside if he is a sannyasi, what is the mood? Here also same Krishna is saying that the person who actually renounces work, he is just a tyagi. Renounce work means like he doesn't want to do anything. He's a tyagi. But sannyas is actually a little bit higher in that sense that he does work, but he doesn't do it for sense gratification. Kamanya karmana nasam. He is not doing for. And then he says like, oh, those who are tyagis, they are actually renouncing the fruits of their action. They are doing actions, prahustyago vichakshana. They do activities which produces some fruits. Means like they may do some karma kanda, apparently, do some good deeds, but they don't accept that results. They are not bothered by it, or they are not hankering for the results. So that is called tyagi. So this is very important concept. Sannyasi doesn't necessarily has to be situated in a sannyas ashram. And that's why Krishna is telling work and devotion are both good for liberation. Renunciation of work and work in devotion both good for liberation. However, he said work in devotion is better. Can anybody actually brainstorm or think about why devotion is better but not sannyas as good as devotion? You can give any example from Shastra also or any scriptures. Why Krishna is telling this point? Because this is a philosophical discussion, but we need to connect with real life scenario. If there is no real life scenario, then that philosophy doesn't have much value. You think like, oh, it's a hypothesis. Krishna is giving hypothesis, but definitely there is like practical example also, right? Where if you parallelly put two stream, one is completely renounced, another one is doing work in devotion, and you see that whose position is better spiritually or even sometimes materially also. Any example? From Shastra, there are so many sannyasis are there, right? Renounced order people who are mendicant. Like there are yogis also, powerful yogis, supposed to be sannyasis, right? So there are many examples. Like apparently we see.
Prabhuji,
Yes.
this Naveen online.
Hare Krishna, Naveen Prabhuji. Dandat Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. One example I can think of doing action without sense gratification is just spreading Krishna consciousness or preaching is an action, but it's in mode of devotion, and that is higher than not doing anything. That's fine.
Excellent point. So if you understand, or if you read the definition of pure devotional service, which will come in the 4th semester of Bhakti Sastri, I think some of you already completed. But the definition, there are 2-3 definitions. One of the definition is Anya Vilashita Sunyam. Then there is another definition is coming from Bhagavatam, Savai Pungsa Parodharma Yatha Bhakti Radhakshaja. But there is another interesting definition. It says Sarva Badi Vinirmuktam Tat Paratvena Nirmalaram Rishikena Rishikesha Sevanam Bhakti Ruchate. So by renouncing all the resignation, if you engage all your senses for the satisfaction of the master of the senses, Rishikesha, that is called the topmost devotional service. So engaging your senses for the satisfaction of the Supreme Lord purifies the senses, and that is the right use of the senses. So the devotees, they don't artificially renounce anything. They have the intelligence to connect everything in Krishna's service. And Rupa Goswami very explicitly defines it in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that Anashaktasya Vishayan Yatharma Upoyunjate Nirvanda Krishna Sambandha Yuktam Vairagyam Uchyate Prapanchikataya Buddhya Hari Sambandhina Vastuna Mumukshuvi Parityago Vairagyam Falgu Kathyate. It says, you are not attached to any element. You use them as they are supposed to be used in Krishna's service. Why? Because everything belongs to Krishna. This material energy also belongs to Krishna. So this material energy, we have some intelligence to use the material energy in Krishna's service, so we should use it in that way. Then that is called real renunciation. You are not artificially renouncing, no, neti, which is some of other schools thought. I am giving a lot of introduction in the beginning because that is the core concept of this chapter, and then we'll go on the next part. So he is telling that we will use it as per needed to do service to Krishna. But if we say that, no, I have if people have cheating mentality, oh, I don't need it, I am renounced, it is not needed for me. They don't have intelligence how it can be used for higher purpose. And those kind of renunciation is called false renunciation. And in the Shastra, there are many examples. There are many yogis, they falsely renounced, they have done extreme austerities, like throughout Srimad Bhagavatam. You see, there are many yogis, they renounced, and then they could not actually keep their specific, special spiritual position. They got attracted to the material energy because they were not self-satisfied completely. They felt like, through the yoga process, they are not able to serve the Lord. They were actually satisfying their ego. They are trying to get something out of it. So they are not completely satisfied. And in Chaitanya Charitamrita also it says that Krishna Bhakto Nishkam Otoevo Shanto Bhukti Mukti Siddhi Kami Shakali Ashanto. The devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna, they don't have any desire, material desire. That's why they are peaceful. But those who are, desirous of fruitive results, those who are desirous of mystic yoga siddhis, or those who are desirous of liberation, they're all disturbed. In one verse. And then also Lord Chaitanya actually quotes that verse, Muktanam api siddhyanam narayana parayana prasannatma sudurlabha kotishrapi mahamune. That those who are self-satisfied, like those who are apparently liberated, still they are not peaceful. Only when they become servant to Narayana Parayana, they are surrendered to Lord Narayana, they become satisfied. And there are many examples who become very elevated in spiritual, position, like at least externally, like they become very powerful, but they could not retain it. In Bhagavatam, there are examples of Vishwamitra Muni, Sovari Muni, Chavana Muni, so many munis, powerful yogis got attracted to material energy. But there are examples of kings like King Ambarisha, King Yudhishthira, King Uddhavji. Means like Uddhavji is like extremely elevated devotees. But also there are many kings, Parikshit Maharaj, they were not attracted to the material energy. It is said that about Parikshit Maharaj that Atma Jaya Shutagara Prashu Domenu Vandishu. Rajya cha avikala nittam vidurang mamutang johi. When the time came, like he was given that message that, oh, you will be dying in 7 days. He did not wait. He immediately left all his Atmajaya, means his wife, his family, his, the animals under him, his friends, relatives, his riches, opulence, everything in no time. Just no time. So this is the quality of devotee. Apparently, a king is in mood of passion. He is attached to, all worldly affair. Mahaprabhu also externally rejected the association of king as a sannyasi. But internally, they are completely detached. So Krishna is telling, you should be internally detached. By the cultivation of knowledge, you know what is the ultimate goal of your life. But you don't actually artificially renounce your work. You connect or you do work in such a way that it satisfies me. He doesn't say me yet. He starts talking about me from the 7th chapter. But he says like, okay, for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Anyways, yeah, and then I think these are the famous verses coming from the 5th canto, 5th chapter. Lord Rishabdeva's instruction to his sons. So here says, Nunam pramatta kurute vikarma yadindriya pretayo aprinoti na sadhumanyato yatmanoyam asanya pi kleshada asadeha. So this verse says like, the people, they are desirous of material enjoyment, and because of that, that motivation, they perform bikarma. You all know, right? What is the definition of bikarma? Mother, you can use the mic. Karma, akarma, bikarma, right? So can you please give me the definition? It may be in the exam, by the way.
Vikarma is where you get the bad results for your actions. Akarma, like eating meat and things like that. Karma is when you do your activities under the regulative principles and you get good results. And akarma is when you don't get results for your action performed.
Excellent. Yeah, so I will add one thing. Bikarma doesn't necessarily mean that you are doing a sinful activities or a particular activity is sinful. In the Shastra, there are ways to do a particular activities without incurring sin. In Srimad Bhagavatam it says, Loke vyavaya mami shamadya seva nitto hi jantur nahi tatra chodana vyavasthiti stheshu vivaha yagyir shura grohirashu nibrittarishta. It says in the 11th canto verse that people have natural inclination to eat meat, sense enjoyment, eat wines. And the Veda, it gives an option. Those who are inclined to do that, do in a specific way. In a way that you don't incur sin. But it doesn't encourage it. So what it does, it says, oh, do Ashwamedha Yagya and then eat the meat. A special Yagya, Mother Kali, offer it to Kali or something. The goddess of mood of ignorance. Or do Somarasa Yagya and then drink the wine. And then do, marriage. And then you do sense enjoyment. So these are not encouraged, but there is a way you don't incur sin. Because when you do it following the Shastra, you become detached to it. Shastra's goal is to make an arrangement that ultimately you feel, oh, it is so tiring. Like, oh, I have to fast for 36 hours to do this yagya. Mother Kali's worship is difficult. You have to fast for 36 hours. It's a very difficult fasting. So people have to fast that long, or they have to do a specific arrangement. The offering animals has to have also certain characteristics. It's not easy. So that's why it's not. And also, of course, married life, right? There are so many difficulties. Yeah, all of you are, most of her. Anyway, so that's why he's telling, for sense enjoyment, we are committing bikarma. But those who are nasadhu manye yato atmanoyam asanna api klesada asadeha. But if somebody is intelligent enough, then he knows that, these are all causing us distress. And then it talks about how that intention to understand the knowledge develops in our heart. Like parabhavastavat abodha jato yavanna jigyasata atmatattvam yavat kriyasthavadidam manovay karmatmakam ena sharira bandha. So, as long as you don't develop the desire to know about yourself, Atma Tattva Jigyasa, so long you will be bound by these activities of the material world. You will be bound. But when you say, oh, who am I? Why have I come here? Then Krishna will help you. It's not that Krishna doesn't help us. Krishna helps when we ask help from him. He helps all the time. We sometimes don't realize, like even if we are breathing, it's because Krishna is sanctioning. When Krishna doesn't sanction, it will be gone. But yeah, of course, he also doesn't directly interact all the times. He only interacts when you want him to interact. Yeah. Evam mana karma vasam prayukte avidyatmani upodhiyamane pritirna yavam mai vasudeve namuchyate deho yogena tavat. So yeah, the last verse translation, it says, although the mind may be engrossed in fruitive activities and influenced by ignorance, one must develop a love for devotional service to Vasudeva. Only then one can have the opportunity to get out of the bondage of material existence, which is our goal. Okay. Oh, that verse is also quoted here. Prapanchika taya buddhi hari sambandhina vastana. So if you mumukshovi means like those who are desiring for liberation, whatever they are actually doing, the renouncing is artificial. It's falgu vairagya, cheating renunciation. Okay, so I took a lot of time, so let's actually be a little fast. By the way, you have any question or comment at this point? No. Okay. Yes, Mataji. Jagriti Mataji, right? Jagriti, yes.
Hi, Krishna Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Pranams. Quick question about the practical example that you were referring to for any yogis or munis in Bhagavatam. Would the example of Jad Bharat fall in this category?
No, Jagat Bharat he's a advanced devotee. By the way, we have the real teacher here, Srivas Pandit Prabhuji, Hare Krishna. Yeah, I'm saved now. So he is an advanced devotee. Means like he is in the devotee category. He is not artificially renounced. So he renounced little bit prematurely because he renounced in a relatively young age. However, he was very advanced in consciousness. So it's not like he's like a normal yogi. And that's why he retained his consciousness even though he had to took a detour. That is also like it's a big story. But yeah, but he came in the right path eventually. Yeah. Okay. Text 3. Geya sa nitya sannyasi yona deshti na kankshati nirdandva hi mahabaho sukham bandhat pramuchvate. Akhil Prabhuji.
One who neither hates nor desires the fruits of his activities is known to be always renounced. Such a person, free from all dualities, easily overcomes material bondage and is completely liberated, O mighty armed Arjuna.
Thank you. So, as we discussed in our previous class also, that the disposition of living entities, conditioned living entities towards everything is two types. One is avirot priti, you feel like, oh, I'm good with it. And then virod yukta krodh. If you cannot enjoy something, you feel anger. You feel like, I don't feel good about it. Feel like a little bit. You are not nirapeksha, like always like neutral. That is the conditioned living entities situation. So this material world is full of dualities. There is an in Sanskrit it's called Danda Samas. Danda. Danda means opposite things are together. Mata Pita. Mata Pita is not necessarily opposite, but Sukh Dukha, like happiness, distress. Bhalo Manda, good, bad. Shito Ushna, yes. Cold and winter. Yeah, so it is full of opposite nature, Danda. But when we are situated in the spiritual world, spiritual nature, then there is no dualities. This is part of diversity of the Supreme Absolute Truth. When that perception comes, then one is actually completely renounced. That is the perfect renunciation. In fact, I think in the later part of this chapter, Lord also mentions that when duality is gone, we are situated in the Brahman platform. We know that we are actually the transcendental spiritual being. Then real devotional service starts. Srila Prabhupada mentions it's also in the 9th chapter, 2nd verse, that real devotional service starts when somebody is situated in the Brahman platform, transcendental platform. He is not affected by the dualities of this material nature. And before that, we are trying to align ourselves and help ourselves, yes. So yeah, it's completely liberated. And that's why one interesting thing is, you see that if a yogi, an advanced yogi, may not be following devotional service, but by hook or crook, if he comes in touch with a devotee and he takes devotional service, his advancement is super fast. Like super fast. The example is for Kumaras or even Shukadev Goswami, they did not have like complete understanding of the Bhagavan, but as soon as they heard about him, got attracted, just they got complete understanding it immediately. So yeah, that is a good aspect, but they need a mercy from the Lord or his pure devotees for doing that. Text 4. Yes, Mataji. Yes, you can ask any question. Yes, Yashwanit Prabhuji here.
Sorry, Prabhuji, I didn't want to interrupt you, but I have a question regarding to this purpose.
Yes, Mataji, please.
So here Prabhupada says the one who is fully in Krishna consciousness is always renounced because he neither feel hatred or desire for the results. But so I think I can say all of us are in Krishna consciousness, but I think we do experience that duality. We are not away from experiencing that duality, either good or bad, and we feel bad also, or if we have something very nice, we feel good also. So is Prabhupada talking about here really elevated devotees? Who is he talking about?
So one thing is, I can recall Srivas Pandit Prabhu's example also in our Bhakti Vibhav class. One time Prabhu was mentioning, I said like I'm very much attached to my daughter, and then Prabhu was giving example of Abhimanyu, he got killed in the battlefield, right? And then Arjuna lamented very piteously. He cried. He was very vulnerable, even though he heard all these instructions from Lord Krishna in the battlefield. So we are not robot. One thing is, we are not robot, but that position of acceptance that Krishna is giving me this kind of sorrows for my purification, that devotee has. That is devotee's advantage. The other people, they don't know how to deal with any extreme situation. The devotees accept like, oh, maybe Krishna is giving me for my purification. And Krishna also personally instructs that yasyaham anugrinyame tadhanam harishveshanau tato dhanam tyajantasya sajana dukkha dukkhita. Like whom I give extreme favor, I take away everything from him. And when I take away everything from him, everyone leaves him. And then he becomes more attached to me. So that is Krishna's special mercy. But again, another point I can also say that is also true, that who are very advanced, like when Srivas Pandit Prabhu, like in Chaitanya Leela, his son died, he didn't want to disturb Mahaprabhu's kirtan mellows. He was telling, no, there should not be any crying. So that's a very high advanced consciousness. Even though Mahaprabhu could understand something wrong is happening, but Srivas Pandit Prabhu did not want to actually disturb his ecstasy. So that's very high level, but we are not impractical. Like we should not be artificially imitating the Paramahamsas. We should be practical, but then these things will come. That is the process, right? The sadhana bhakti is struggle, understanding. But we want to add something? Okay, thank you. Text 4. Sankha yoga prithak vala pravadante na panditaha ekam apyasthita samyak ubhayar vindate phalam. Manasi Mataji.
Only the ignorant speak of devotional service, karma yoga, as being different from the analytical study of the material world, Sankhya. Those who are actually learned say that he who applies himself well to one of these paths achieves the results of both.
So, interesting point is the process of devotional service is attachment. And the process of Sankhya is detachment. Why? Because Sankhya is telling, oh, root is Krishna, and the other things are manifested from Krishna. So you go to the root. You detach from these other peripheral items. Go to the root. But the process of devotional service is like you attach yourself to Krishna. But they are not mutually exclusive. They are saying the same thing. Ultimately, making a connection with Krishna. So you can say they are same book, that opposite page. The perspective is different. So those people sometimes, by doing the analytical study, they can get confused. Sometimes, that's why there is a, impersonal Sankhya philosophy also there, that they got confused because they think like everything is impersonal. There is no, like everything is unmanifested. They cannot connect it with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But when one is doing devotional service, that part never arises. Because you know that there is a personal connection with the Supreme Lord. But it doesn't mean that devotees actually practice Sankhya Yoga philosophy. It's embedded in it. When you read Bhagavatam, there are many places, like we just finished in our Bhakti Vaibhav, 3rd canto. There are 3 places at least. The elements of creations are mentioned in 3rd canto itself, and 2 places in 2nd canto, and many other places. So it is coming repeatedly, so that we know how this, the creation is being taken place. So it's very important. But for a advanced devotee, it may actually get revealed automatically. That's an interesting point. Like Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janatya Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Cha Yad Ahitikam. The Gyan and Vairagya, the knowledge and renunciation, are a byproduct of devotional service. But the opposite may not be true. That knowledge and Vairagya cannot give you Bhakti. You may be proud actually because of your knowledge. Prabhu, if you want to add something, Prabhu, sorry. Yeah.
So just one point I wanted to add is that we are still not in the bhakti stage of Bhagavad Gita.
I see. Yes.
We are still, the 4th chapter ends with the knowledge of Brahman realization. And here Krishna is saying whether you use Sankhya or Karma, ultimately you will reach to the same Brahman realization. Because one point is, to reach Krishna without devotional service, it's impossible to reach Krishna. So because we are in the Brahman realization, Krishna is saying either you can choose both, you will reach the same Brahman realization. Who thinks that they are different paths, it's not so.
An excellent point, Prabhu. Yeah, that's a very pertinent point to remember while we are studying this chapter. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. No, it's always, Prabhu, we need your guidance. I told you they are all your student. I am also your student. So we are all learning from you. Okay, text 5. Yat sankhai prapyate sthanam tad yogair api gamyate ekam sankhyam cha yogam cha ya pasyati sapashyati.
One who knows that the position reached by means of analytical study can also be attained by devotional service, and who, therefore, sees analytical study and devotional service to be on the same level, sees things as they are.
Thank you, Mataji. I think we already discussed about this verse also in the previous discussion. Sanyasastu mahabaho dukhyam aptum yayogataha yoga yukto munir brahma na chirena adhigacchati.
Merely renouncing.
Sorry, Prabhu, sorry. I think it has a timing. Yes. Oh, it's not coming.
Merely renouncing all activities, yet not engaging in the devotional service of the Lord, cannot make one happy. But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay.
Sorry. What's happening here? It's technical issue. Yeah. I think, yeah. Only, even the devotees who are online, so please use the book. We have some technical difficulties. So it says like, if somebody just renounced that, what we mentioned also, that just merely renouncing but not engaged in devotional service, or doesn't know how to engage everything in devotional service, they cannot be happy. Like Muktanabhamapi Siddhanam, that verse we quoted, right? But a thoughtful person engaged in devotional service can achieve the supreme without delay. And we see the example of Ambarish Maharaj, who engaged all his senses and activities in the service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He did not renounce anything. He was using all the senses for Krishna's service. Okay. Mataji, something is wrong? Okay. Oh, I see. Okay. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyaha sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurban api na lipyate.
One who works in devotion, who is pure soul, and who controls his mind and sense is dear to everyone, and everyone is dear to him. Though always working, such a man is never entangled.
Yeah, so it is said, I think the next chapter is the yoga of mind. It's not like a dhyana yoga, it's actually the yoga of mind. So it's difficult to control the mind and senses. But somebody who works in devotion, his intelligence is fixed. Vyavasayatmika buddhi. Buddhi, the word buddhi means intelligence. He has one-pointed intelligence. So that's why his mind and sense are controlled by the intelligence. So, and when that is there, like who is able to control the mind and senses, he becomes dear to everyone. Even though apparently he sometimes always working, but he doesn't get entangled in the work he does. Right? In the 8th chapter, Krishna says, right, Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu mam anusmara yuddhacha. Like engaging your mind, you execute your fighting, execute your duty. Then, Mai arpito manobuddhir mame vaishvashi asamsayaha. By engaging or dedicating your mind and intelligence, you will certainly attain me. Right, Prabhu? Yeah. Yeah, so it's very important that even somebody, it is said in Bhagavatam, somebody can be a very highly liberated state, like a yogi, maybe impersonal liberation is there, but they are not satisfied still. In the Garbhostuti, the demigods, they prayed to Lord Krishna when he was inside the Om of Mother Devaki, headed by Lord Brahma. And there is a famous verse, Ye anya aravindaksha vimukta maninas tayastu bhavad abhishuddha buddhayo aruho krichena parang padang tata patanti adha anadrita yushmad anghrayaha. So those Ye anya aravindaksha vimukta maninas, they think they are actually liberated. But they don't worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They consider Vimukta Manina. They themselves think. Actually, they are not. And they are not worshipping. Yanya Aravindaksha Vimukta Maninas. They don't worship the Aravinda Aksha, the lotus-eyed Supreme Personality of Godhead. Aruho Krishna Parang Padang Tata. Even though they elevate themselves in whatever position they are. They go to a higher position, but they will fall down. Patantya adha anadrita yushmad angraya. By not worshipping the Lord, yushmad angraya. Angraya means the lotus feet on, right, Prabhu? Yeah, or yeah. They will actually fall down. So this is the interesting part. So if somebody may be apparently liberated, detached, renounced, but if they are not devotees, they can actually go down, from their position at any point of time. Okay. Naiva kinchit karomiti yukto manyeta tattved pasyam shrinvan sparshan jigran asnan gachvan sapan saswan pralapan visrijan ghrinan unmishan nimishan api indriyan indriyartheshu vartanta iti dharayan. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Anyone from online wants to read?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu, I'll jump in. This is Kennedy.
Hare Krishna, Kennedy Mataji. Please read, Mataji.
A person in the divine consciousness, although engaged in seeing, hearing, touching, smelling, eating, moving about, sleeping, and breathing, always knows within himself that he actually does nothing at all. Because while speaking, evacuating, receiving, or opening or closing his eyes, he always knows that only the material senses are engaged with their objects and that he is aloof from them.
Yeah, so in the later part, in the summary section of Bhagavad Gita, we see there is a nice verse. Krishna speaks to Arjuna there. Ishvara sarva bhutanam riddhesha arjuna tishtati Brahmayam sarva bhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. So this body is just like a vehicle, it's a yantra. But actually the life is staying in the heart, and also soul and super soul, they coexist in our conditioned state. So actually the senses are, this is a vehicle, but the actual perception or experience is done by the soul. Actually, the soul actually doesn't do anything. It's actually perception is done also in the mind level, in the mana level. Even though it is subtle sense, but it is also material. So Krishna is saying that those who knows that I am a spiritual being, he knows that, I am doing it because I have to maintain a body. It's a vehicle to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. But actually, soul is not doing it. It's being done by the senses. It's not so easy to understand because we identify ourselves with the body. So we see like, this is my hand, this is anything, it's mine. So aham mameti conception is there. So it's not easy, but that's the conception of a transcendentalist. He knows that, this is not my real identity. And as Lord Krishna speaks in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, the first philosophy he gave is the science of soul. Nate evaham jatu nasyam natyam nime janadhipa nachevana bhaviswami sarvabhayam aptaparam. Right? That these soldiers, these kings, you, me, we are eternal. We existed before, we are existing now, and we will be existing in future as well. Okay, so that's the important point. Yes, Mataji. Yes. Yes, he is. So he is soul. Our identity is soul. We are not this body. Yeah, but we want to. Text 10. Brahmanya adhaya karmani sangam tyakta karateya lipyate na sapapena Padma Patram Ivam Vasha. Anyone else from the online audience?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
One performs his duty without attachment, surrendering the results unto the Supreme Lord, is unaffected by sinful action, as the lotus leaf is untouched by water. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Yeah, so I think Bhaishika Maharaj was giving this example in yesterday's class also, right? That a lotus, it sprouts from the mud and it goes up in the water, but it never touches all these things. So the very enlightened soul, they do what they are supposed to do in their bodily level, but they are not attached to it. They know that actually Krishna is the source of everything, and Krishna has to be offered all the results of my actions. And that is called action in Krishna consciousness. I think Prabhupada is giving a lot of reference from different Upanishad also. Yeah, Mandukya Upanishad, yeah. Okay, yes. Yeah. Okay, so here interesting part is everything in the material world is a manifestation of Brahman. And although the effects are differently manifested, they are non-different from the cause. So everything is Krishna's energy in that way. Right? We see in Brahma Samhita that eko opasyo rachoitam jago eko api aso rachoitam jagadanda kotim jachaktirasti jagadanda chayanda adan andantarastha jagadan no andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham govindamadi purusham tamam bhajami. I think ekopasya rachitam jagadanda kodi jachaktirasti jagadanda chaya adan andantaho. Anyways, yeah. So Krishna enters into the every living entity, every material and immaterial entities, not living entities, entities. Now, if I ask you the question, then what is the difference between material entities and immaterial entities, like inanimate entities? Like, what is the difference? If you are asked that question, that oh, Krishna is present everywhere, then oh, I am using this. I have to also. Actually, in general, we should not touch anything with feet. Like as soon as we get up in the morning, the first verse we should say that Prato Prabodhito Krishna Rishikeshana Yattaya Yat Yat Karaya Shishan Tat Karoshi Tavagaya. And then we say Samudra Vashana Devi Parvatastana Mandite Vishnuputni Namastubhyam Pados Parsha Kamashume. Means like when we put our feet on the ground, we ask for forgiveness from Mother Earth. And I am actually, you are Vishnu Patni, I am putting my feet on your chest. So please forgive me. And so what is the difference? If somebody asks you, you are all scholarly devotees, oh, you don't answer. Or Shraddha Mataji, because they are our teachers. So we all will be learning from them. But anybody wants to try? What will be the difference? Everywhere Krishna is there. This verse speaks about that. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. I am there, even in Paramanu. Right? That's a valid question. And here also this is said, right? Everything is Brahman, manifestation of Brahman. Brahman is supreme absolute truth, yes. Yes, Mataji.
Everything is coming from Krishna, but everything is not Krishna. Krishna is separated from all this.
Yes, absolutely. That I understand. But they are all Shakti, Krishna's Shakti, and Krishna is present in everything. Krishna also speaks in the later part, in the 6th chapter, that jo mam pasyati sarvatra sarvang chamai pashyati tasyaham mena pranashvami sacha mena pranashvati. The person who sees everything in me and everywhere me, like everything in me and sees everything in me and sees me in everything. Me in everything and everything in me. Both are there. He never gets perished to me, and I am also eternally present to him. I am also eternally, he can perceive me all the time. Anyway, so what is the difference? The difference is that one has soul, one doesn't have soul, only super soul. Super soul is there everywhere. That's why when it is said that when Prahlad Maharaj was looking at the pillar, he was looking at Lord Narasimha. Pillar is an inanimate object. Lord is not supposed to, he is not supposed to see Lord there. But that is the consciousness of a Uttama Bhagavata, the topmost devotee, that they see Sthabar Jangam dekhe na dekhe tar murti, Sarvatra hoy nijo ishtodebe spurti. They see earth, water, but they don't see it. They see everywhere their Ishtadev, their worshipable deity is manifesting. How? Because they are present there. They are present there. So it's an interesting concept, and only high level devotees, they can conceive the Supreme Lord in that way. And that's why their heart is so humble. Okay. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalar indriyaropi yogina karma kurbanti sangam tyaktatma suddhaye. Anyone else from the online audience?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Shyamchandra Das.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
The yogis abandoning attachment act with body, mind, intelligence, and even with the senses only for the purpose of purification.
Excellent. Thank you. So, ihar yasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikhil aishapya avasthashu jivan mukta sauchyate. This is a verse quoted by Sri Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, where it says, the person whose karma, manasa and gira, means body, karma is actually activities, manasa is mind, and gira is body, are dedicated for, gira is voice, yes, words, sorry, yeah, karmana, manasa, gira. Karmana is activity, is a body, yeah. For activities you use body, manasa mind, and gira is voice. You're right. Thank you. Mukhat gurinam, putam harim kathamritam. Anyways, so iharasya haridasya, who is in using their activities, mind, and words for the service of the Supreme Lord, as a servant of the Supreme Lord, whatever external condition he is situated in, he is considered as a Jivana Mukta. He is a liberated person. Jivan Mukta is liberated, right? But what is the correct English term? Uchchate means he's told as a Jivana Mukta. So it's a very high level consciousness. So the yogis means those who are doing action in Krishna consciousness. They are not attached, and they use their body, mind, intelligence, and senses for the purpose of purification. So the initial stage is purification of the senses. The next stage is complete engagement, where Krishna starts accepting your service and reciprocating it. At our stage also, we will see, once in a while, we will see that Krishna is reciprocating, directly, indirectly. But when you are advanced, the perception will be very strong. Yeah, you will see that, how, like Srila Prabhupada used to ask his Pujari disciples, what is the mood of the deities today? Because he expected that Pujari will have a very high consciousness. Because his service to Pujari, service to spiritual master, they're very delicate. The progress is very fast, or also downfall is very fast, both way. Because there is a concept of impersonalism. We think they cannot do anything. Like if Krishna is in front of me, how will I treat him? That should be the consciousness of pujaris. But sometimes, because of our conditioned state, we cannot, keep that equilibrium. We sometimes, become inattentive like that. So by practicing this attention, we get purified, and then Krishna starts accepting our service at certain point of time. Oh, actually, he quotes this verse in the purport. Yeah, I actually read a lot of things, but I don't know which verse we quoted in which purport. Thank you. Yeah. Okay, let's read the next verse. Yukta karma phalam tyaktya shantim apnoti naishtikim ayukta kamakarena phale sakta nivadhyate. Any online audience who did not read yet? Has not read.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Yes, Prabhu, I can.
I'm Preeti here.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. The steady devoted soul attains unadulterated peace because he offers the result of all activities to me. Whereas a person who is not in union with the divine who is greedy for the fruits of his labor becomes entangled.
Anyway, so the devotee, they're not attached to their activities, the result of their activities. But if we try to enjoy the activities we do, that is a problem. So one interesting fact, that Krishna can give you all kind of perfection. Even if you have material desire, only by when Krishna sanctions, then the demigods or other powerful personalities, they can allow you to get it. If Krishna doesn't sanction, nobody can give you that thing. Right? And there are pastimes of the demons. They desire a lot of things. They worship the supreme, like the demigods, powerful demigods like Lord Shiva, Brahma. But Krishna did not sanction and they did not get it. So that's an interesting point. But for the devotees, sometimes he actually allows them to also enjoy materially. Like for Dhruva Maharaj pastimes, we see that he wanted to get the kingdom greater than his great grandfather. But when he got it, he didn't want it. But Krishna said, no, keep it for some time. So that's only Krishna can actually give. But the devotees, they don't get entangled, even though get this kind of material opulence, which are even unthinkable to the demigods. Text 13. Sarva karmani manasa sanyasaste sukhambasi navadare pure dehi naiva kurvanna karayan. Mataji, who last time could not read, can you please read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Preeti here. Thank you, Prabhuji. When the embodied living being controls his nature and mentally renounces all actions, he resides happily in the city of 9 gates, the material body, neither working nor causing work to be done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. So, the 9 gates are spoken as the 2 nostrils, 2 eyes, 2 ears, and then anus, genitals, and a mouth. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you. Thank you. So, these are the 9 gates. And when we, like a living entity leave body, usually they go through one of these holes. And sometimes you see that the eyes are bulging, they are coming out, it look like, because they are feeling extreme pressure. And Prabhupada actually mentioned in, I don't know whether it was a lecture or in his writing, that most of the people, living entities, conditioned people, they leave their body from the anus, lower level. But the yogis, they leave their body through the Brahmarandhra. It's not easy. It's a closed door. It's not an open door. That's why it is not mentioned here in Navadare, Pure Dehi. But they have the power that their life's air will, pierce through the Brahmarandhra and go out from there. It's not easy. So, anyways, it's not our goal to actually practice that kind of yoga process so that we have to be, dependent on Krishna, however we actually live our body. But yeah, anyways, so let's go to the next verse. Na kartritvam na karmani lokasya srijati prabhu na karma phala sangyogam swabhavastu pravartate. Any online devotee yet to read?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this is Naveen.
Hare Krishna, Naveen Prabhuji, yes.
The embodied spirit, master of the city of his body, does not create activities, nor does he induce people to act, nor does he create the fruits of action. All this is enacted by the modes of material nature.
Yeah. Thank you, Babu. Sorry, I started before you completed. So, Lord Krishna also speaks this, right? Pakrite kriyamanani gunoi karmani sarvasaha ahankara vimodatma kartaham iti manyata. Everything is actually done by the influence of modes of material nature. It's facilitated by modes of material nature. But the embodied living entity, conditioned state, it thinks like, oh, I'm doing it. I'm doing it. But actually, they are not doing it. It's being facilitated by the material nature. Yes, Mataji. Yes, thank you. Yeah, you're the only
Puji,
one.
I'm always confused on this verse. So I understand it is the three modes of material nature that acts, but who has the desires? Because when we desire, then we act on it, although under the mode of a nature. But who has the desire if not the soul?
Yeah, so the living entity has one thing which is called free will. But this free will doesn't get manifested in a condition like lower condition states. When your consciousness is actually very high, your free will direct you to the spiritual path. When your consciousness is low, your free will direct you to the lower stages of life. That's why you see the animalistic life, they also have free will, right? But do they do like something very improvised, very intelligent, sophisticated thing? No, because they're conditioned by the mode of ignorance, mode of material nature. But in the evolution process, when a living entity gets that kind of understanding that Atata Brahma Jigyasa, that know thyself, or what is the root cause of my being here, then he tries to actually go beyond, and he uses his free will to suppress the conditioning stage. So I think your question is like, who is actually willing? It is actually the soul. But the free will, or when it is actually engaged in Krishna's service, that is actually the real purpose. It is bringing the fruit. Anyway, so let me answer it in a different way. You came to temple today, and it's a devotional service. You could have actually gone to any other place. You have actually decided what to do, right? And then your senses, your intelligence, it facilitated you to come here. Now you means your soul. It's not that, consciousness is telling that, if I go to temple, I will be associating devotees, I can hear Krishna Katha. That is us. But to facilitate that consciousness, to get it truth, we need a vehicle, which is intelligence. Like I'm driving, I'm using my intelligence. I'm mindful of, the situation. Like you are in the class, you are using your mind, your senses to perceive, to see, to hear. Those are there. But your consciousness, that's why sometimes even maybe we are there, but we are not there. Mind is somewhere else, and the consciousness is also somewhere else. But you want to add something? Because it's a very pertinent question.
My question is, Prabhu, in this text, Krishna says that the spirit does not create activities. It's by the modes of nature, which I understand that we act according to the mode of nature. But I was asking Prabhu, who has the desires? Must be the soul who desires things, and that's how we act under the modes. But it must be the soul who's desiring first. And that's so I was a little confused why Krishna says that spirit does not create any activities. But why I was thinking maybe it is the spirit who's creating the activities.
So the jiva has been taking birth since time immemorial, and the impressions of all those activities are there really in the memory in a very, very compact way. So when the jiva comes to this world, there is an automatic connection with the modes that propel that jiva. And because Maya has two Shaktis, one is to cover the jiva and one is to throw the jiva into this material world, because of that covering potency, the jiva has no other thinking except to act. One example I can give is if a person goes to the concert, right? I mean, to a musical concert or whatever concert, the person, as Kuladip Prabhu mentioned, has a choice to go to that particular music concert. But once you are in it, then you are sucked into the crowd, and then whatever is happening on the stage will also mimic. So it is exactly that with the material nature. The jiva has, and at that time you forget that you have a job tomorrow, you have to do this, you are completely absorbed in that concert, and then you are just completely having quote-unquote good time. So the same thing with jiva, it comes to the world, and because the modes will hi, and then the jiva will say hi. So you're mimicking your own nature that you acquired from material nature. At that point, you have no connection with spiritual world, but you are completely thinking, sammohito jiva atma. So the jiva is thinking, I belong to this place, and then you are being pushed by the modes of material nature. But if you pull away, then neither am I acting, nor am I acting somebody, nor am creating actions for someone else. Did I answer it right, Kuladip Prabhu?
Excellent, Prabhu. And also I remember that previous chapter verse, one who sees action in inaction and inaction in action. This is correlated also there, like action in inaction, like you were doing nothing material, but you see that is the real action. And inaction in action, like whatever you do material, because you're programmed to do, you have a certain situation or certain material conditioning, so you are programmed to do, but you know that, oh, this is not something eternal, it will not last. He knows what he does, or he is acting in a proper manner, right? Something in the word says, yeah. Anyways, thank you, Bo, for connecting the dots. Hare Krishna. Let's go to the next verse. We are only halfway through. I think we can complete. Nadatte kasyachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu ajnanena abritam jnanam tena muyyanti jantavaha. Any devotee from online who did not read yet? Who has not read yet? Okay, I think everybody read. Satat Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Translation. Nor does the Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers their real knowledge.
Yeah, as Prabhu mentioned that, the illusory potency, it's covering us, the real knowledge. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Hai Andhakar, it's just ignorance, darkness. Oh my God, Srila Prabhupada is giving a big purport here. Jnanena tu tad ajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityavaj jnanam prakashayati tatparam. Akhil Babuji, yes.
When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything, as the sun lights up everything in the daytime.
Yeah. Yeah, so interesting thing is, we in the Mangalashan prayer, what we said in the beginning, Om Ajnanate Virandhasya, right? We are all in the deep, dense darkness. Jnananjana Shalakaya. The knowledge is like a torchlight. So, if you have to see, you need two things, right? What are the two things you need? Eyes? Good. Thank you, Mataji. Eyes and light. If any of this is absence, we cannot see, right? So we are blinded by the darkness. So even if we have eyes means like we have that capacity to see. That is the spirit soul's capacity. But if it is dark all around, what we will see? It will be dense. But when the spiritual master, he actually gives that light, we can only say, oh, this is to be seen. This is the real object which needs to be seen. Anyways, so here is like also that sun, when the knowledge gets revealed in your heart, it looks like, it feels like, everything is clear to you. You can see everything as it is in relation to the Supreme. Yeah. Okay. Tad buddhayas tad atmanas tannishthas tad parayanaha gachanti apunar avrittim jnana nirdhuta kalmashaha. Mansi Mataji.
When one's intelligence, mind, faith, and refuge are all fixed in the Supreme, then one becomes fully cleansed of misgivings through complete knowledge, and thus proceeds straight on the path of liberation.
Yes, so this is the philosophy of Brahma Bhute Prasannatma na shochati na kankshate sama sarveshu bhuteshu mad bhakti lavate param. Like when you are beyond the dualities of this material nature, you don't na shochati na kankshati, you don't have any lamentation or you don't have any desire, like material desire, not like spiritual desire. You should always have a spiritual desire. Then you will be situated in the Brahman platform, means you are cleansed of this material entanglement. And you can be, that stage is actually a very advanced stage. What is this number verse? Yeah. And the next verse will talk about that famous verse, that who are in that kind of a stage, how they actually relate with the world. It's a very important verse, next verse. So let's read that verse. It's a very famous verse. Vidya Venaya Sampanne Brahmanega Vihastini Shuni Chaiva Shapakecha Panditaha Samadarshina. Chakiti Mataji.
The humble sages, by virtue of true knowledge, see with equal vision a learned and gentle Brahman, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater, outcast.
Thank you. Now, like, when we are in devotional philosophy, culture, we know that every living entity is connected to the Supreme Lord. There is a vertical connection, there is a horizontal connection. Vertical is everyone is connected to Krishna, and horizontal is there is vertically level relationship or relationship among us. Now, if you are asked that, I have to actually treat everyone in the same manner, and it's a practical question, how will you actually do that? Like, in what context you will actually connect or treat everyone or see everyone in the same manner? In what context? Or how will you interact with them? Every living entity. Yes, Mataji, Mansi Mataji. Right? We have to practice these things. Yes, go ahead, Mataji.
So we see as the same soul particle coming from Krishna. That's
Yeah.
my understanding. Not that I would start loving dog or dog eater, but I would see that he has the same soul particle coming from Krishna as me. So on the soul level, we are the same.
Excellent point. Yes, that is true. Anything else anyone wants to add? So the practice of devotional service, that when we are in the sadhana bhakti, our goal is to achieve madhyama level. Our goal is not it's not that we don't want to get pure love of God, we will get it, but it's not something can be artificially done. The mechanical process can take us to the madhyama level. Like we keep on, doing it disciplined, we maintain our sadhana. But the next part, it needs a lot of mercy from the Lord and His devotees. The ruchi, asakti, bhava, prema, these needs a lot of mercy. So when we are in the madhyama level, the quality of a madhyama devotee is, he deals based on the relationship or the situation or the condition stage of the person. If that person is like a devotee, he wants to make friendship, Ishvare tadadineshu balisheshu dishatsucha prema maitri kipa apeksha yat karoti samadhyama. But if he is envious, or if you know that, this living entity's consciousness is low, you keep a healthy distance. You don't say I have to give love to everyone, because some school of thought can say that, we have to hug everyone, we have to know. We know, this person, when I mix with him or reciprocate with him, it will be helpful for me, it will be helpful for him. But if I actually try to now give my love to a tiger, even though it's a living entity, the reaction may be very severe, right? But if you think about the very advanced devotees, Mahabhagavatas, they can actually do it. Haridas Thakur, he was chanting in a cave for many years. People outside, they were telling, how could you actually chant in that cave? There is a very powerful, venomous snake is there. And because of its breathing, we cannot tolerate or enter into the cave at all. Haridas Thakur told like, I never felt actually there is any venomous snake here. So this is very advanced level consciousness. So we see everything in the soul platform that they are connected to Krishna, but we don't want to react like beyond our bodily level understanding. Somebody is envious, we keep a distance. Mahaprabhu can actually dance with tiger, deer, and they can hug each other. We cannot imitate it. Even Mahaprabhu's servant, Balabhadra Bhattacharya, he was afraid. Even though he was a very advanced Brahmana. What to speak about us. So anyway, so this is that vision. That we don't hate anyone. Everyone is connected to Krishna. We should give respect. We should be also not thinking like, oh, they are meant to serve us. But yeah, anyways. So it's a beautiful, actually there is a beautiful picture also in Bhagavad Gita depicting this verse. Ihaiva tvairjita sargaha yesham samye sthitam mana nirdosham hi samang brahma tasmad brahmani te sthitaha. Prabhu?
Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and thus they are already situated in Brahman.
Yeah. So it's an expansion of the previous verse because, they are beyond the modes of dualities. Matra sparshvastu kaunteya, that verse. Na pradishvet priyam prapya nodijet prapya cha priyam sthira buddhir asamudha brahma ved brahmani sthitaha.
A person who neither rejoice upon achieving something pleasant nor lament upon obtaining something unpleasant, who is self-intelligent, who is unbewildered, and who knows the science of the God is already situated in transcendence.
Yes, thank you, Mataji. So again, this is repetitively coming. The consciousness of a person who is fixed in knowledge of the absolute truth and knows the relationship of him, other living entities, with that absolute truth. Right? So the vertical relationship, he is aware of the vertical relationship. So, in the material world, it's not that every day we'll get something pleasant, right? Like in the morning, like yesterday also Vaisheshika Maharaj was mentioning, right? Never ever anybody wants to get something inauspicious any day. We always say Happy New Year. Do you say that Sorrow New Year? But some years are like that. You don't want to remember them. It may be very difficult for you, for your family. But it is like that. So, the one who is situated in that fixed intelligence, he knows that this is the mode of material nature, the sorrow, the happiness. So when he gets something pleasant, he is not very jubilant. When he gets something unpleasant, he is not also very sorrow. Yeah, he is not distressed. I think Prabhupada is mentioning about this. So yeah, sthira buddhi. Yeah, the steady intelligence, self-intelligent. Yeah. And yeah, he knows the absolute truth, namely Brahman, Paramatma, Bhagavan. So as Prabhu mentioned, this is mainly talking about the Brahman. The Bhagavan aspect is coming in the 7th chapter onward, because Krishna reveals himself in the 7th chapter onward. Bahya sparsheshu ashaktatma vindati atmani yat sukham sa brahma yoga yuktatma Sukham akshayam ashnute. Anyone wants to read from the online audience?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I can read.
Yes, Mataji, please.
Translation. Such a liberated person is not attracted to material sense pleasure, but is always in trance, enjoying the pleasure within. In this way, the self-realized person enjoys unlimited happiness, for he concentrates on the Supreme. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji. So, there is a famous verse written by Srila Prabhupada Saraswati Pad, which comes in Chaitanya Chandramrita. Kaivalya narakayate tidasha purakasha pushpayate durdanto indriya kala sarpa pataling prathkhata dangstrayate visham purna sukhayate vidi mahendra adishchakitayate yat karana kataksha vaibhavatam sagaurameva istumaha. So in this verse, it's a beautiful verse. It's a beautiful verse. The poetic, nature of this verse and the philosophy it gives is so sweet. At least, I know Prabhu also loves this verse. so this verse says, Kaivalya narakayate, the person who got a special mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kripa Kataksha, like just a little bit of glance of mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what is his state of mind? Or what is his situation? It says, for him, the liberation, impersonal liberation is just like a hellish condition of life. Kaivalya narakayate. Tridashapur akasha pushpayate, the higher planetary systems, it feels like phantasmagoria for him. Like, they are just Akasha Pushpa. Akasha Pushpa is like it's in your imagination. It doesn't exist actually. So he thinks these upper planetary systems, which are full of so many opulences of enjoyment, just Akash Pushpa, phantasmagoria. Durdanto indriyo kala sarpa pataling prathkhata dangastrayate. So these senses are like kala sarpa. Kala sarpa means it is biting you. And Kala Sarpa means when it bites, you die. Kala Sarpa means it's very poisonous. But if you take out their teeth, what will happen? They can actually bite sometimes, but there will be no action. So this person who got Mahaprabhu's mercy, even the senses are there, the snakes are there, but there is no reaction, no poison. He is not feeling hankering of sense gratification. Then the next part is the most important and relevant to this part. Visham purna sukhayate. Visha, for whole material world, he feels a place of enjoyment. It's a little contradictory to our conception. The material world is actually the next verse. Krishna says that dukkhalaya vasasyatam. What is that? Yahi samasparsha yoga dukkha yonayo evate. Anyways, we'll read it. So it is interesting, but that is the consciousness of a very advanced devotee. It doesn't feel like, he feels like, I am serving Krishna here. I go to the spiritual world, I will be serving there. What is the difference? Where Bhakti Vinod Thakur sings that Kito janma hok jodi tu adas bohirmukha brahma janme nahi tavas. In the whole material system, who is the head of living entities? Lord Brahma. He is. He is saying, even I become a worm, but your servant, I can serve you. I accept it. But even I become Brahma and I am averse to you, I don't want to accept it. So this is Manasa Dehagya song, in that song he actually speaks about this. So, Vishwam Purna Sukhayate Vidhi Mahendra Adishya Kitayate. The position of Vidhi, Lord Brahma, and Mahendra, Indra, the heavenly planet, king of heavenly planets, is just like worm, insignificant. So that is the power of, mercy of Mahaprabhu or Lord Krishna. So it's like that. So the devotees, the liberated persons, they feel like that. They are self-satisfied. That is a quality of Krishna and also his pure devotees, Atmarama. If we are not Atmarama, then Krishna will put us in the situation where we can satisfy our senses. But if we are Atmarama, we know that there is nothing to enjoy here in this material world. It's easy to say, I'm saying it. I don't have also conception. Maybe some advanced devotees like Srivas Pandit Prabhu or Shraddha Mataji, because they are always engaged in service. So they're getting so much enjoyment out of it. That's why they are able to continue it. Yeah. So We should follow their examples. Oh yeah, and he is quoting that famous verse from Yamunajacharya. Let's read the translation of this verse. Since I have been engaged in the transcendental loving service of Krishna, realizing ever new pleasure in him, whenever I think of sex pleasure, I spit at the thought and my lips curl with distress. It's a very famous verse and Srila Prabhupada quotes it in many places and it's so practical. It's kind of, the mood of devotees. They are not, because they have Vishaya Vinivartante, right? Replace the higher test. Higher test the book. Anyways. Okay. And this is why they don't deal with this material world or anything which we feel like happiness in material world. They don't have any connection with them. It is actually mentioned here. Yehi samsparsha ja bhoga. Yehi samsparsha ja bhoga. Dukkho yonaya evate. Adyantavantaha kaunteya. Nateshu ramate buddha. Any online devotees?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. This is Shamchandra Das.
Sanatan Prabhuji,
So,
yes.
yeah, Shamchandra Prabhuji. So, an intelligent person does not take part in the source of misery due to contact with the material senses. O son of Kunti, such pleasures have a beginning and an end, and so the wise man does not delight in them.
Yeah, actually same thing is spoken by Narad Muni to Vyasadeva also in the beginning of Bhagavatam. So he is telling that what is that verse, Prabhu, where it says like Bhamatam uparya adhaha na labhyate tasyaiva hetu. Sorry, Prabhu, you chant, Prabhu. Tasyaiva hetu prayate kavido. Yeah. Please, sorry.
Tasyaiva heto prayateta kovido na labhyate yad bhramatam uparyada ta labhyate dukkhavadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhira ramhasa.
So in this verse, thank you, Prabhuji. His Prabhu's recitation is so sweet and so accurate. If anybody wants to recite in proper meter, pronunciation, they should follow Prabhu's pronunciation. Yeah, I personally follow his pronunciation, but difficult because I have so strong Bengali accent. So there is some conditioning there. So it says tasyaiva hetu prayate kavido na labhyate bhramatam uparya adhaha. So that's why he is telling, after giving a lot of example, he is saying that's why you should not aspire for something which can be achievable by going from this upper planetary system to the lower planetary system, this 14 planetary system. You should not aspire for something like heavenly planet. Because tallabhyate dukkhovad anyatha sukham kalena sarvatra gobira rangasa. Because in the course of time, you will get sorrow even though you don't desire it. Because that's the nature of time. You get happiness, you get sorrow. So you should not hanker for happiness. Don't do that. Hanker for something which is not achievable in this 14 world, which is pure devotional service. Even if you go to Satyaloka, you can come again lower planetary system if you're not perfecting or you don't have that. Even in Satyaloka, the consciousness is a little higher, but still you can come down. So you should aspire as long as you have the chance for going beyond this material world. Okay, let's actually conclude. I think we have 6-7 verses. Shaknoti haiva yasodum praksharira vimukshanat kama krododbhavam begam sayukta sa sukhi naraha. Any other online devotee wants to read?
Yes, Prabhu. Before giving up this present body, If one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the forces of desire and anger, he is well situated and is happy in this world.
Thank you. So when we actually take a particular body, we are satisfying our particular desire, right? We come with some desire. The prarabdha karma also we say that we come with some kind of conditioning from our previous life, and we try to actually suffer or enjoy whatever we get through our previous activities and also current activities. So that's why when you do devotional service, all the reactions of your previous activities get actually burned quickly. So when somebody doesn't have any desire, right, doesn't have any anger, anything, he is completely aloof from those things, then he doesn't have to go to the spiritual world. In this material world, he is happy. Sukhi Nara. Vaisheshika Maharaj also uses this phrase in many of his class. Sukhi Nara. He emphasizes on that part. So that is our goal, to be happy. Right? Everybody wants to be happy. Nobody wants to be like, I want to be. You don't want to be. I want to be happy. You want to be happy. Everybody wants to be happy because that is our natural disposition. Ananda. Anandam buddhi vardhanam. Yes. Text 24. Ye anta sukha antar aramas tathantar jyotir yevaya sa yogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhuta adhigacchati. Any other online devotee?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
One whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, and whose aim is inward, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme, and ultimately he attains the Supreme.
So, the advanced devotees, sometimes you see that they are living a very comfortable life. Sometimes you see like, oh, they are living a very miserable life, apparently, in our point of view. But in both cases, they are self-satisfied. That inner happiness is so much that they don't need actually the external situation to make them happy. For us, it's not. We get our happiness through the external situation. If it goes a little bit of bad, like tomorrow something bad happens in my job, I'll be feeling very morose, right? Very anxious, or anxiety will be there. I have that experience, so I know that. So this is our situation. But for them, like one time I know that Vaisheshika Prabhu was mentioning in the class that if tomorrow I don't have like any position or any designation or anything, will I not be happy? He said, I will be happy. That's an actually advanced level of consciousness. Yes, so we have to conclude, right, class? Our parking master is here.
So there are two cars actually which is blocking the parkway. There's a Mazda. If it is your car, please remove it because it's actually not even parked properly. And there's another one, Honda Civic.
Okay.
8SFU193. Thank you.
Thank you, Babuji, for helping us to manage all these things. It's a difficult service. Anyway, so the point is, it should be, as I mentioned before also, that Lord and His devotees are Atmaramas. They get pleasure in themselves. Krishna doesn't, in Bhagavatam, many places it is mentioned that Krishna doesn't need Mother Lakshmi for pleasure. Lord Vishnu doesn't need her. But still, they are the, Lord's eternal associates. So when they serve, that is reciprocation. The sweetness comes out. So sweetness aspect is there, but he doesn't need it. He is not hankering for that. And another thing is, even these advanced devotees who are self-satisfied, they also hanker for service to Krishna. Atma Ramascha Munaya, that famous verse comes there. They always want to hear, glorify the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Okay. Lamante Brahma Nirvanam Rishayashina Kalmashaha Chinna Dvaidhayatatmana Sarva Bhuta Hite Rataha Any devotees from online?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Shweta.
Shweta Mataji, please go ahead.
Krishna. Those who are beyond the dualities that arise from doubts, whose minds are engaged within, who are always busy working for the welfare of all living beings, and who are free from all sins, achieve liberation in the Supreme. Thank you.
Again, this conclusion is that, that whatever we discussed, minds are engaged within. So apparently, that's an interesting thing. This Krishna consciousness is a yoga of mind. You can do actually, like you can somebody can see that, oh, you are very busy with all kind of service in the temple, but maybe your mind is not there. Yeah, opposite is also true. Maybe you are not doing any service, but you are hankering, my Lord, I am not able to do your service, and you lament, Krishna, your progress will be fast. That hankering should be there. You should not feel like, oh, I am doing enough service. 16 rounds of chanting, I am going to temple 2 times a week, I am cooking, I am doing this, that. I am also doing preaching service. I am happy. No, that's not the consciousness. It should be like, oh, my Lord, I am not able to actually do enough service for you. Please empower me to do the service. That is when we chant, we pray that, right? Oh Lord, oh energy of the Lord, please engage me in your service, right? So that is an interesting point. Okay. Kama krodha vimuktanam yatinam yato chetasam abhito brahma nirvanam vartate viditatmanam online devotee, anyone?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, this is Saurav.
Saurav Prabhuji, yes, go ahead.
Those who are free from anger and all material desires, who are self-realized, self-disciplined, and constantly endeavoring for perfection, are assured of liberation in the Supreme in the very near future.
Yeah, so maybe they have not got, as I mentioned, their progress will be very fast. Yeah, if they are free from that, in the Brahma-Bhuta platform, their progress will be super fast. But you want to add anything in this regard? Okay. Yeah, this is the verse. This is verse that comes in Bhagavatam where 4 Kumaras were instructing Maharaj Pithu. Yat pada pankaja palasa vilasa bhaktya karmasya. Means like, if you want to get rid of the attachment of karma granthi, the fruitive activities, or the conditioning of the activities, then you have to take shelter of palasa vilasa bhaktya. Pada pankaja. You have to take shelter of that. Anyways, what is it? Let's read the translation. Just try to worship in devotional service. Vasudev, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even great sages are not able to control the forces of the senses as effectively as those who are engaged in transcendental bliss by serving the lotus feet of the Lord, uprooting the deep-grown desire for fruitive activities. And we gave the example in the beginning of the class, right? They could not even uproot it. But the devotees, like, the kings who are supposed to be moved of passion, they could easily do it. Sparshan kritva bahir bahyams chakshus chaivantare brubho pranapano samau kritva nasabhyantara charino yatendriya manobuddhir munir moksha parayanaha bigatecha bhayo krodho ya sada mukta evasa. Any online devotee who wants to read second time? I think we completed the cycle, right? Satat Prabhu?
Hare Krishna. Translation. Shutting out all external sense objects, keeping the eyes and vision concentrated between the 2 eyebrows, suspending the inward and outward breaths within the nostrils, and thus controlling the mind, senses, and intelligence. The transcendentalist aiming at liberation becomes free from desire, fear, and anger. One who is always in this state is certainly liberated.
Thank you. So this is kind of prelude to the next chapter. Lord is giving some understanding what he will be discussing in the next chapter, where the yoga process, especially those who are engaging their mind, thought in the super soul, he is actually giving a prelude here. Here in this verse, Ashtanga Yoga process, starting from Yam Niyam, Asana, Pranayam, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. Okay. This is the most beautiful verse, which is called also the verse for peace formula. So peace formula verse. If somebody says, what is the peace formula? You refer to this verse. It's personally, I like it. I think Prabhupada mentions it also. This is the peace formula verse or something. Vaktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suridam sarvabhutanam gyatva mam shvantim richvati. Pataji, you wanted to read? Because she joined also in our class. Please give the mic to her. Translation.
A person is full of consciousness of me. Knowing me to be is the ultimate beneficiary of all sacrifices and artistries, the supreme lord of all planets and demigods, and the benefactor and well-wishers of all living entities, attains peace from the pangs of material miseries.
Thank you, Mataji. So if you want to get material, breed of material miseries, then you have to be always thinking like, whatever I am doing, I am doing it for the pleasure of Krishna. But there is a aspect. One is devotional aspect. You do everything what Krishna likes. Another aspect is like you do what you like and offer it to Krishna. Krishna karmarpanam. So there are two aspects. But the consciousness is that Krishna is in the center. I am not in the center. Anyways, let's read this purport. This is a famous purport. Also, it kind of summarizes this chapter. Okay? Who did not read? No, actually, Akhil Babu also did not read the second time. So he can read one paragraph and you can read one paragraph, I guess. Let's see. I think how much is it's a big purport.
The conditioned souls within the clutches of the illusory energy are all anxious to attain peace in the material world, but they do not know the formula for peace, which is explained in this part of the Bhagavad Gita. The greatest peace formula is simply this: Lord Krishna is the beneficiary in all human activities. Men should offer everything to the transcendental service of the Lord, because He is the proprietor of all planets and the demigods thereon. No one is greater than He. He is greater than the greatest of the demigods, Lord Shiva and Lord Brahma. In the Vedas, Shweta Vattara Upanishad 6.7, the Supreme Lord is described as Tam Ishwaranam Paranam Maheshwaram. Under the spell of illusion, living entities are trying to be lords of all they survey, but actually they are dominated by the material energy of the Lord. The Lord is the master of material nature, and the conditioned souls are under the stringent rules of material nature. Unless one understands these bare facts, it is not possible to achieve peace in the world, either individually or collectively. This is the sense of Krishna consciousness. Lord Krishna is the supreme predominator, and all living entities, including the great demigods, are his subordinates. One can attain perfect peace only in complete Krishna consciousness.
Thank you, Mataji. Prabhu. Mataji, can you please read?
This fifth chapter is a practical explanation of Krishna consciousness, generally known as Karma Yoga. The question of mental speculation as to how Karma Yoga can give liberation is answered herewith. To work in Krishna consciousness is to work with the complete knowledge of the Lord as the predominator. Such work is not different from transcendental knowledge. Direct Krishna consciousness is Bhakti Yoga, and Jnana Yoga is a path leading to Bhakti Yoga. Krishna consciousness means to work in full knowledge of one's relationship with the Supreme Absolute. And the perfection of this consciousness is full knowledge of Krishna, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A pure soul is the eternal servant of God as his fragmental part and parcel. He comes in contact with Maya, illusion, due to the desire to lord it over Maya, and that is the cause of his many sufferings. As long as he is in contact with matter, he has to execute work in terms of material necessities. Krishna consciousness, however, brings one into spiritual life even while one is within the jurisdiction of matter, for it is an arousing of spiritual existence by practice in the material world. The more one is advanced, the more he is freed from the clutches of matter. The Lord is not partial towards anyone. Everything depends on one's practical performance of duties in Krishna consciousness, which in every respect helps one control the senses and conquer the influence of desire and anger. And when who stands fast in Krishna consciousness, controlling the above mentioned passions, remains factually in the transcendental stage or Brahma Nirvana. The Eightfold Yoga mysticism is automatically practiced in Krishna consciousness because the ultimate purpose is served. There is gradual process of elevation in the process of Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. But these only preface perfection by devotional service, which alone can award peace to the human being. It is the highest perfection of life.
Thank you. Thus, in the Bhakti Vedanta purpose to the 5th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavat Gita, in the matter of karma yoga or action in Krishna consciousness. Hari Om Tat Sat. Any question or comment or anything you want to add? We have only 5 more minutes before we go to the Sunday feast lecture given by Vaisheshika Maharaj. Yes, Satyat Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, might be a little bit silly question. So in this last verse, Krishna is saying, Bhoktaram Yagatapasam Sarva Loka Maheshwaram. So he is the Maheshwara, the great Lord of all lokas. Then why is Lord Shiva addressed as Mahesha so many times? When we speak Mahesha, it generally refers to Lord Shiva. Why is that?
Yes, so I will tell my understanding, and then I will request His Grace Sivash Pandit Prabhu to add something. So, in our respect, Lord Shiva is a very great personality. He has, like it is said in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, that he has 55 qualities of Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu has 60 qualities and Krishna has 64 qualities. Anyways, so his influence in the whole creation is very strong, very expansive. So, even the other demigods, even if you see Srimad Bhagavatam, sometimes even Lord Brahma is addressed also Bhagavan there. The demigods, they go to pray to him and address him, "Oh Bhagavan, please help us." When the Jaya Vijaya were getting born as Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, the whole nature was so disturbed. They went to Brahma and they addressed him as Bhagavan. So it is not wrong to address him as Maheshwara, but we know that Sarva Maheshwara is Krishna. He's the Lord of the Maheshwara also. So in that context, we can actually understand that how he is a Maheshwara. It's because his position is so high, in our respect, even in the normal demigods' respect also. And another aspect is he is also, when he comes as Sadashiv, he is a Vishnu Tattva. He is in the category of Ishvara. When Advaita Acharya, who is Sadashiv, incarnation of Mahavishnu and Sadashiv, that has a mixture of Ishvara Tattva also. We offer Tulsi leaf to him also. So Prabhu, please add, Prabhu. Yeah, it's okay. Prabhu, still Prabhu, you add, because if they hear from you, it will go into their heart. Okay. So we'll actually conclude the class here because Maharaja is, I think, on the way, and it needs 10 more minutes to organize everything. So thank you everyone who joined online, and thanks for everything. And we apologize that we started a little late today for some logistic issues, but we'll resume from next week. Right, Pooji? Yes. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much.